The world of football is a place where heroes are made, where passion and grit collide to create moments that live forever in the hearts of fans. In the historic city of Porto, Portugal, one man embodied that spirit like few others, Jorge Costa, a towering figure known as Bicho and Tank, the animal and the tank, who led FC Porto to glory and left an indelible mark on the sport. On August 5, 2025, the football world was shaken by the sudden loss of this legend, a man whose leadership and love for the game inspired generations. Today, we're diving into the remarkable life of Jorge Costa, his cause of death, his age, his family, his net worth, his lifestyle, and the biography of a true captain who lived and breathed football. So, settle in, and let's honor a man whose legacy will forever echo through the stands of Porto and beyond. Jorge Paulo Costa Almeida was born on October 14, 1971, in the vibrant city of Porto, Portugal, a place where football isn't just a sport, it's a way of life. Growing up in a working-class neighborhood, Jorge was surrounded by the energy of a city that lived for its club, FC Porto. Little is known about his early family life, but his parents instilled in him a fierce determination and a love for the game that would define his future. As a boy, Jorge was already showing the tenacity that would earn him his nicknames. He wasn't just strong, he was relentless, a natural-born leader even in his youth. His talent on the pitch caught the eye of local scouts, and by his teens, he was part of FC Porto's youth system, a club that would become his home and his heart. Football was in his blood, and Porto was his destiny, setting the stage for a career that would take him to the pinnacle of the sport. Jorge's professional journey began modestly, with loan spells at Penafiel and Maritimo in Portugal's Primeira Liga. These early years weren't glamorous, he was a young defender learning his trade, facing the pressures of top-flight football. But even then, his aggressive, physical style stood out. Fans called him Bicho for his ferocity and Tank for his unyielding presence on the field. In one controversial match against Porto while on loan at Maritimo, Jorge scored an own goal, sparking unfounded accusations of bias toward his parent club. The incident led Porto's president, Jorge Nuno Pinto da Costa, to ban loaned players from facing Porto, a rule that lasted decades. Despite the drama, Jorge's talent was undeniable. By the mid-1990s, he was a mainstay in Porto's defense, a centre-back whose grit and leadership made him a fan favorite. In 2001, he became team captain, a role that seemed tailor-made for him. Over his career, he played 383 matches for Porto, a staggering number that speaks to his loyalty and durability. The pinnacle of Jorge's playing career came under the guidance of a young, ambitious manager named José Mourinho. In 2003, Jorge captained Porto to a UEFA Cup victory, a triumph that put the club on the European map. But it was the 2004 Champions League that etched his name in history. Picture this: Jorge Costa, the fearless captain, leading his team against the giants of European football. Against all odds, Porto defeated AS Monaco 3-0 in the final, with Jorge's commanding presence anchoring the defense. It was a moment of pure glory, a victory that made Porto the kings of Europe and Jorge a legend. He also won 8 Primeira Liga titles, 5 Taça de Portugal Cups, and 7 Supertaça Candido de Oliveira trophies, amassing 24 major titles with Porto. His one-season stint with Charlton Athletic in the English Premier League during 2001-2002 added an international chapter, where he played 26 games and earned respect as one of the finest centre-backs to represent the Attics. Internationally, Jorge earned 50 caps for Portugal, playing in the 2002 World Cup and the 2000 European Championship, bringing his warrior spirit to the global stage. On August 5, 2025, tragedy struck. Jorge Costa, now 53 years old and serving as FC Porto's director of football, suffered a cardiac arrest at the club's training ground in Olival, Portugal. Despite efforts to save him, he passed away, leaving the football world in shock. Porto confirmed his death in an emotional statement on social media, calling him a leader, captain, example. A symbol of FC Porto. Tributes poured in from rivals like Sporting Lisbon, who hailed his contributions to Portuguese football, and from Charlton Athletic, who mourned one of their finest. José Mourinho, reflecting on Jorge's leadership, once shared a story from a 2003 match against Belenenses. Porto was trailing 2-0 at halftime, and Mourinho was furious. Jorge stopped him at the locker room door, saying, "Wait outside for 2 minutes, please." He rallied the team, did the dirty work, and then invited Mourinho to coach. It was a moment that captured Jorge's essence, a captain who led with heart and fire. The cause of his cardiac arrest remains under investigation, but it's a stark reminder of how fragile life can be, even for a man who seemed invincible. Jorge's family was his anchor. He was a devoted father to his two sons, David Costa Almeida and Salvador Almeida, though details about his personal life were kept private, reflecting his desire to shield his loved ones from the spotlight. While there's no public record of a current spouse or partner at the time of his death, Jorge was described as a committed family man, deeply rooted in Porto's community. His sons have not yet spoken publicly about their loss, but the outpouring of support from fans and the football world shows the love that surrounded him. His parents' names and details about his upbringing are less documented, but his connection to Porto suggests a family tied to the city's culture and pride. Jorge's life revolved around football and family, two constants that gave him purpose both on and off the pitch. After retiring as a player in 2006, Jorge transitioned into management, taking the helm at clubs across Europe and even the Gabon national team. His managerial career was varied, with stints at CFR Cluj in Romania, AL Limassol in Cyprus, and several Portuguese clubs like Paços de Ferreira and Académica. While he didn't replicate his playing success as a manager, his passion for the game never wavered. In his later years, he returned to Porto as director of football, a role that allowed him to shape the club's future. His net worth at the time of his death is estimated to have been between $2 and $5 million, based on his earnings as a player, manager, and executive. His Porto salary during his playing days, combined with bonuses from Champions League and league titles, formed the bulk of his wealth. Endorsements were minimal, as Jorge was never one for flashy sponsorships, but his role as a club icon ensured financial stability. He owned property in Porto, reflecting his deep ties to the city, and lived a comfortable but not extravagant life. Jorge's lifestyle was a reflection of his roots. He was a son of Porto, a man who never strayed far from the city that shaped him. Even as a global football figure, he remained grounded, often seen at local cafes or mingling with fans at Porto's Estadio do Dragão. His love for the game extended beyond playing. He was a student of football, always analyzing, always learning. As director of football, he worked tirelessly to scout talent and uphold Porto's legacy, a role that kept him connected to the sport he loved. Jorge wasn't one for the glitz of celebrity life. He preferred the simplicity of family dinners, conversations with old teammates, and the roar of the crowd on match days. His health, until that fateful day, seemed robust for a man in his early 50s, making his sudden passing all the more shocking. He was a man who lived for the moment, whether it was a crunching tackle on the pitch or a quiet evening with his sons. Jorge's legacy is woven into the fabric of FC Porto. He was more than a captain. He was a symbol of resilience, loyalty, and passion. His 24 major titles, including the 2004 Champions League, stand as a testament to his greatness. Tributes from across the football world, from Liga Portugal to José Mourinho, praised his fighting spirit and leadership. Fans remember him as the tough-as-nails defender who never backed down, the captain who lifted Porto to unimaginable heights. His life wasn't without challenges. Controversies like the own goal incident and the pressures of management tested him, but he faced them with the same grit he brought to the pitch. To his sons, David and Salvador, and to all who loved him, Jorge Costa was a giant, a man whose heart beat for Porto and for football. As we reflect on Jorge Costa's life, it's hard not to feel a mix of sorrow and awe. At 53, he was taken too soon, but his impact will endure in every Porto victory, every chant from the stands, every young player inspired by his story. He was a father, a leader, a legend who lived life with intensity and purpose. His sudden departure reminds us to cherish those we love and to chase our passions with unwavering courage. Jorge Costa didn't just play the game. He defined it, leaving behind a legacy that will shine as brightly as the trophies he lifted. Thank you for joining me in celebrating the extraordinary life of Jorge Costa. If his story moved you, please take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Let's keep his legacy alive, honoring the captain who made Porto soar. Until next time, keep the passion burning.